So I'm going to provide an overview of the NCIDQ exam and some changes that have happened in this last year or so. First off, why is the NCIDQ important? And the application process, dates, deadlines, and fees, exam info, studying the and scoring of the NCIDQ, some of the jurisdictional requirements and CEUs. And as always, you can go visit, and I've got it linked, the CIDQ organization. So when we look at the NCIDQ, it is a global standard for interior design credentialing. And there isn't any other interior design credentialing that measures the practitioner's ability to protect health, safety, and welfare, which you all know I think that's very important. And holding the NCIDQ credentialing measures your ability to protect the public health, safety, and welfare through practice. And it also suggests that you have demonstrated a specific set of core competencies that are verified by your work experience and your college degree. NCIDQ just celebrated their 50th anniversary last year. With a span of over 38,000 people have earned this credential. It's a pretty exclusive group. And when we talk about how many people will pass the exam, and about 1,000 certificate holders pass it every year and get that NCIDQ after their name. And it basically means that you have obtained your license in other states more easily, offers credential validation to other jurisdictions. All regulated jurisdictions that require NCIDQ certification, with the exception of California, in order to be legally recognized as a design professional in that state. So, recent news about the NCIDQ. As we already mentioned, that it's designed to protect the health, safety, and welfare of people that we look at various areas of work. And there's different pieces and parts to help you support as you get ready to take the exam. There's the NCIDQ candidate handbook, which I have linked. And each of the exams have remote proctoring, which means you can actually take your exam from your home. So unique opportunities that did not used to be available. And the timing is still to be determined, but follow them on social media for the most up-to-date information about the NCIDQ exam. So let's talk about the process and requirements. Some of this I have shown you all previously in your classes, but again, we need to go over this. So you have to provide a transcript that includes 60 semester hours or 90 quarter credit hours. Yours is in semester credit hours, and you're fine. You've got 60 credit hours in interior design. And there's varying work hours depending on what your educational bucket was. And your hours have to be affirmed by a supervisor or sponsor. So if you end up someplace that your sponsor is not NCIDQ certified, then you can get a sponsor. And I always tell people, we're still here for you even after you graduate. And if you do look at the table or the sheet that's in front of you, basically to get the required hours of work, it's 2 hours of full-time work in your experience after you've graduated. But some of your work experience that you acquire as interns will count toward your work experience when you graduate. So as you break that down, and the categories of work, because I was actually just signed off on somebody's as their sponsor the other day, you know, how is it categorized? And used to it was just actually fulfilling hours, but now they're specifically breaking it down in categories. And they're looking specifically, did you spend 400 hours in construction documents? Did we spend at least half of our hours doing hours in contract, schematic, and programming. So each of these candidate breakdown hours you verify, and sometimes I tell people be upfront and make sure that you're, of course, working with someone that's aware that you're going to be pulling like programming, schematic design, contract administration, design development, so they know that you're involved in this. None of you are going to have a problem being able to obtain this. You're not just sitting in a library putting samples away, so that you can get these different experiences. So each of the things that we always tell people that every one of the um, pieces and parts that we go over, CETA does have useful videos, and they do have an application video when you guys get ready to apply to take the exam. The first test, and this is what we're studying for this fall, is the IDFX. It's part 1. Part 2 is if you would take the IDPX and the IDIX, which used to be called PRAC. Transcripts can be mailed, but they have to come directly from the educational institution. That's not a hard process, and if you all decide to do that while you're still here, I can help you with that. And you can wait if you wish to take all 3 sections at one time after you gain your work experience. Though I've heard many people say, let's just take it in pieces, take the IDFX, then add the next piece, and then the next piece, just because sometimes taking it all at once can be a bit overwhelming. So when we look at the fees, there is an application fee, and the IDFX, the exam fee itself, is $295, and then if you apply for all of the fees, you can see the breakdown for those. And the exam scheduling, you all, you'll take your exams typically in the spring or in the fall, and it shows you the exam fee breakdown. I'm not necessarily going to sit and read through each one of those, but one thing that I will point out to you that with exams, the IDFX only application, there's 4 exams administered every 2 years. If you decide to take the IDPX and the IDIX application, there's 10 exam administrations about every 5 years. And so again, depends on how you want to take your exam. If you take your FX exam first, you get 4 additional attempts to take it and pass the NCIDQ exam. So one thing to tell you guys, the application fees are non-refundable. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you do put your applications forward. So you submit your application fee, and we do have an application discount that I get for you all as students. So you get a little bit of a discount for your application. The fee is paid to purchase an exam for an upcoming exam, and paying this fee allows for approval applicant to schedule an exam appointment for the exam administration, and they're only valid for the exam that's going to be for that block of time right then. You don't schedule an exam ahead of time. So it's sort of, if you're in the back of your head, it's like you pay as you go when you're getting ready to take the exam. And how the application process, like when you take your spring exams, and you can see when the exams are administered down there at the bottom of the block, you apply for it. Applications August 1st to January 31st, and the deadline's January 31st, of course. And then the exam is between April 1st and April 30th. Fall exam, it's a little bit later, and the deadline for that's July 31st. And you take your exam in October 1st to 31st. And so again, depending on how you wish to spread it out, that's just fine. I've had some students actually go ahead and wait and apply for their applications a little bit later. Again, it just depends on what you want to do for this first one, if you want to go ahead and take the IDFX. You're not required to take the IDFX while you're enrolled in this class. This is just to get you familiar with how it's. So the exams are administered in April and October. Cancellation fee is $100 for the exam, and rescheduling exam may be done for current administration only, and unscheduled and uncanceled exams are subject to full forfeiture of your exam fee. So I always tell people, just try to go ahead and take your exam rather than trying to pay $100 to cancel. The exam basics, so you sort of know how they're set up. The NCIDQ exam has 3 separate sections or exams, which we have briefly covered these in our previous professional practice class. The IDFX focuses on programming, conceptual design, schematic design phases, basically things that you all are familiar with as you're finishing up your degree, and it doesn't require any work experience. It's focused on academic and book learning, what you've learned as you've developed and obtained your degree. When we look at the PX, which is the professional exam, it focuses more on construction administration and management phases, and it's designed for individuals with a minimum of 2 years work experience and focuses more on practical applications of knowledge you've got under your belt by that point in time. And the last one, which is now called the IDFX, which was formerly the PRAX, and it really looks at design development, construction document phases, and like the IDFPX, it was designed for individuals who have a minimum of 2 years work experience. And as I mentioned, it was known as the PRAC exam, so I'm going to have to get that in my head because that's what I want to call it. And across all 3 exams, there are little vignettes that they give you on the exams, and they will be based on a scenario and have 3 to 5 questions that are associated with the scenario. And if you look at the bottom of the chart, all 3 exams have 15 unscored pre-test questions, but you don't know which ones are the pre-test questions. They're being used to develop future exams. If you're looking to take the exams in order of the design phases, you'll take IDFX first, IDIX second, and then lastly, IDPX if you're doing it in the design phase. Again, that just depends on how you wish to take it. So the fundamental exam. The content area of the IDFX exam focuses on programming, conceptual design, and schematic design phases, with an emphasis on health, safety, and welfare. This exam blueprint of all exam blueprints is based on practical analysis done every 5 years. The analysis identifies current duties and tasks performed by interior designers, along with the knowledge and skills necessary to conduct those tasks. Remember, for all of these blueprints I show you today, the NCIDQ website provides a more in-depth information. So any of these domains, you can go back and review those elements more specifically on the NCIDQ. And this test exam is specifically designed for recent graduates, and it's focused on testing your academic knowledge. Therefore, candidates don't need any work experience. You all have the advantage of having just recently finished your internship, so you have your brains really wrapped around this. It's got 115 questions, and you have 3 hours to complete this. We're going to be reviewing the IDPX professional exam now, and in looking at this particular you can't take it until you've got appropriate work experience. It's focused on construction administration, project management, and phases of interior design. And you'll be asked to describe how to obtain and manage budgets, project approvals, construction safety, field reports, conduct project closeout, as well as any questions related to managing proposals and contracts. Like the IDFX, it has 115 questions, and you have 3 hours to complete this exam. The IDFX exam, which used to be what we call PRAX, is the implementation exam. And with this one, you are demonstrating appropriate work experience, and it focuses on design development, construction documentation, phases of the interior design process. Has 130 questions, and you have 4 hours to complete it. And it is a unique experience because if you look at the breakdown of the percentages, the construction documents are the heaviest part, but we're looking at codes and life safety, integration of FF&E, and all the pieces and parts that really make a project come together. So in 2024, you can see the number of people that passed the different exam sections, and we had a pass rate of 67% for the PRAC, which is now the IDPX, which again, this just tells you the passing rate, and they always want to know how people performed on each section of the exam. The exams aren't easy, but it's worthwhile investment and really much what we want to have people to do as they prepare for their exams to move forward professionally. So studying and scoring the NCIDQ exam, what? So some standards and books. We always tell people you should look at the IBC, the IRC, which is your residential code, and the accessibility code. And knowledge of when certain standards must be referenced but are not included are listed down there below on the slides, like OSHA, UL, BIFMA, ASTM, and conceptual knowledge of NFPA, NEC, and ANSI. You know, it's really in the candidate's best interest to study the IBC and related accessibility codes so you feel comfortable with those. As I had mentioned before, there are a variety of links provided on the NCIDQ website. The candidate handbook, which I have linked, outlined exam blueprints and other helpful information. And there are prep programs across various material on the website, but there are also things done by independent parties that are not associated with CIDQ. And there are a lot of different people that we want to people connect with to help you study and have study groups. Because our biggest goal in the NCIDQ is to create, test, and promote guidelines for determining if you're competent to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of people through our design solutions. We won't have preliminary exam results for our first exam administration in 2026 because they're working to work on their timing, but this is what the exam sheet typically looks like. Granted, this is an old one from 2021, but where you see the little bubbles moving across on this, it tells you, you know, what your passing score was for your IDFX, and it'll tell you, you know, 500 is your passing score, and then it shows you with where you're at and what you need and your different areas and what areas you need um, to work with and how you need to move things around so you can successfully um, get on to hold of those if you're not doing as well. Um, and so 800 is a perfect score, but again, you get the official scoring sheet about 6 weeks after the exam closes, but again, these will provide you, if you don't pass the exam, a good idea what you need to focus on. And I've had alumni reach out and say, hey, this is the area I'm not doing well in, due to practice more in that. So jurisdictional requirements in maintaining the NCIDQ credential. So this is the current breakdown. We keep having more states. The blue states make me tired. We want to get those covered one of these days, where we have no legislative requirements in place. And of course, North Dakota is one of those. But again, it looks like, you know, if you're working there, that you're in compliance with local laws. And architecture is regulated in all states. Whereas in interior design, we have Title Acts, Practice Acts, and certification. In Minnesota, several of you are from that area. They have Title Acts with permitting privileges. As you can see, there's things going across up into Canada. But again, it's been one of those kind of things that each area is a little bit unique. There's a state-specific credential in California, and also there's some unique things in some of the other states to the east as well as to the west. So I always tell people, you know, check where you're going to and see which things may be in place. And with NCIDQ, there is the need to stay active with your continuing education units. And we're always wanting to make sure that we take our courses that keep us up to date, and we're in a public directory if people want to find us. And again, it's supporting our ongoing development and making sure that we are continuing to grow in our understanding and knowledge. And our professional organizations where we're connected through with NCIDQ. Once you pass your NCIDQ certifications, ASID will give you professional membership free. IIDA actually offers the opportunity to apply for financial assistance upon passing all 3 parts of the NCIDQ exam. And then if you end up in Canada, there are also scholarships and other elements to support you to 1 or more NCIDQ candidates each year. So when we talk about the NCIDQ, you know, that you take your career seriously, and that you, you know, there's a level of effort in getting professional certification, and it really tells your colleagues and your peers that you really wanted this. It lets you take it to other locations because it's not something that's just specific in one state. And for any government interior design jobs, individuals have to be NCIDQ certified. And lots of times you will find people that are in leadership positions in design are NCIDQ certified. And I will just say also, CETA does like for our people to be NCIDQ certified. So thank you guys for listening to me. Picture there at the end. But if there's questions that didn't, or information that was covered in the slide presentation that didn't make sense, you're welcome to ask me and talk with me about that and see if something doesn't make sense.